Right, here's a set of 78 Shellac Records, produced in the 1940s with Basil Rathbone, famous for Sherlock Holmes, of course, reading poems. It's called Masterpieces of Literature, Volume 3, and it's Great Themes in Poetry, as it says, read by Basil Rathbone, and it's a Columbia Records set of 6 78 RPM Shellac Records. It comes with a booklet. There's the booklet. Very academic set, really, sort of designed for schools of the time. These very academic types on the front. And you've got all the text and stuff for the poems there, look, included. I'm not going to play these records in order because they're in this folder in a different order. I'll just pull them out and play them to you as they come out. You've got text and notes about the record, and there you go, that's a label of one of them. Right, we'll start with this this side here, which I think you can see. It's read by Basil Rathbone. It starts with it says Great Themes of Poetry, Album 3, and it's God's World, Edna, St. Vincent Millay, Loveliest of Trees, A. Houseman, The Vagabond by Robert Louis Stevenson. So it's 3 poems.
By Edna St. Vincent Millay. O world, I cannot hold thee close enough. Thy winds, thy wide grey skies, thy mists that roll and rise, thy woods this autumn day that ache and sag, and all but cry with colour, that gaunt crag to crush, to lift the lean of that black bluff. World, world, I cannot get thee close enough. Long have I known a glory in it all, but never knew I this. Here such a passion is as stretcheth me apart. Lord, I do fear thou'st made the world too beautiful this year. My soul is all but out of me. Let fall no burning leaf, prithee let no bird call. Loveliest of Trees by A. Houseman. Loveliest of trees, the cherry now is hung with bloom along the bough, and stands about the woodland ride, wearing white for Eastertide. Now of my 70 years and 10, 20 will not come again, and take from 70 springs a score, it only leaves me 50 more. And since to look at things in bloom, 50 springs our little room, about the woodlands I will go, to see the cherry hung with snow. The Vagabond by Robert Louis Stevenson. Give to me the life I love, let the lave go by me, give the jolly heaven above and the byway nigh me. Bed in the bush with stars to see, bread I dip in the river. There's the life for a man like me, there's the life forever. Let the blow fall soon or late, let what will be o'er me, give the face of earth around and the road before me. Wealth I seek not, hope nor love, nor a friend to know me. All I seek the heaven above and the road below me. Or let autumn fall on me, where a field I linger, silencing the bird on tree, biting the blue finger. White as meal the frosty field, warm the fireside haven. Not to autumn will I yield, not to winter even. Let the blow fall soon or late, let what will be o'er me. Give the face of earth around and the road before me. Wealth I ask not, hope nor love, nor a friend to know me. All I ask the heaven above and the road below me.
Right, side 2 of this 6 record set, Ode on a Grecian Urn by John Keats.
Ode on a Grecian Urn by John Keats. Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, sylvan historian, who canst thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. What leaf-fringed legend haunts about thy shape, of deities or mortals or of both, in Tempe or the dales of Arcady? What men or gods are these, what maiden's loath, what mad pursuit, what struggle to escape, what pipes and timbrels, what wild ecstasy. Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore ye soft pipes play on, not to the sensual ear, but more endeared, pipe to the spirit, ditties of no tone. Fair youth, beneath the trees, thou canst not leave thy song, nor ever can those trees be bare. Bold lover, never, never canst thou kiss, though winning near the goal, yet do not grieve. She cannot fade, though thou hast not thy bliss, forever wilt thou love, and she be fair. Ah, happy, happy boughs, that cannot shed your leaves, nor ever bid the spring adieu, and happy melodist, unwearied, forever piping songs, forever new. More happy love, more happy, happy love, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever panting and forever young, all breathing human passion far above, that leaves a heart high sorrowful and cloyed, a burning forehead and a parching tongue. Who are these coming to the sacrifice? To what green altar, O mysterious priest, leadst thou that heifer lowing at the skies, and all her silken flanks with garlands dressed? What little town by river or seashore, or mountain built with peaceful citadel, is emptied of this folk this pious morn? And little town, thy streets forevermore will silent be, and not a soul to tell why thou art desolate can e'er return. O Attic shape, fair attitude, with breed of marble men and maidens overwrought, with forest branches and the trodden weed, thou silent form, dost tease us out of thought as doth eternity, cold pastoral. When old age shall this generation waste, thou shalt remain in midst of other woe than ours, a friend to man to whom thou sayest, beauty is truth, truth beauty. That is all ye know on earth, and all ye need to know.
Right, record 2 of this 6 record set. Lee Hunt and Abu Ben Hadim, and Hate by James Stephens, the Irish poet.
Abu Ben Adhem by Lee Hunt. Abu Ben Adhem, may his tribe increase, awoke one night from a deep dream of peace, and saw within the moonlight in his room, making it rich and like a lily in bloom, an angel writing in a book of gold. Exceeding peace had made Ben Adhem bold, and to the presence in the room he said, "What writest thou?" The vision raised its head, and with a look made of all sweet accord, answered, "The names of those who love the Lord." "And is mine one?" said Abu. "Nay, not so," replied the angel. Abu spoke more low, but cheerly still, and said, "I pray thee then, write me as one that loves his fellow men." The angel wrote and vanished. The next night it came again with a great wakening light, and showed the names whom love of God had blessed, and lo, Ben Adhem's name led all the rest. Hate by James Stephens. My enemy came nigh, and I stared fiercely in his face. My lips went writhing back in a grimace, and stern I watched him from a narrowed eye. Then as I turned away, my enemy, that bitter heart and savage, said to me, "Some day when this is past, and all the arrows that we have are cast, we may ask one another why we hate, and fail to find a story to relate. It may seem to us then a mystery that we could hate each other." Thus said he, and did not turn away, waiting to hear what I might have to say. But I fled quickly, fearing if I stayed, I might have kissed him as I would a maid.
Right, side 2, record 2 of this 6 record set. Firstly we got, I think it's Sonnet 26 if I'm not mistaken, by William Shakespeare. I can barely read it, it's quite a small text. I've got Longfellow, and it's you can probably see better than I can, the Arrow and the Song, and then we got sonnet. I can't quite read that. Elizabeth Barrett Browning. So we've got another sonnet by Browning. Of course, Elizabeth was married to Robert Browning.
The 29th Sonnet by William Shakespeare. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts, myself almost despising, haply I think on thee. And then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered, such wealth brings that then I scorn to change my state with kings. The Arrow and the Song by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I shot an arrow into the air. It fell to earth, I knew not where, for so swiftly it flew, the sight could not follow it in its flight. I breathed a song into the air. It fell to earth, I knew not where. For who has sight so keen and strong that it can follow the flight of song? Long, long afterward, in an oak, I found the arrow still unbroke, and the song, from beginning to end, I found again in the heart of a friend. The 43rd Sonnet by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach, when feeling out of sight for the ends of being and ideal grace. I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need, by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with the passion put to use in my old grief, and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with a love I seem to lose with my lost saints. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. And if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death.
Right, the third of the 6 records in this set. It's Basil Rathbone again, reading 3 poems. The World is Too Much by William Wordsworth, and Travel by Edna St. Vincent Millay, and On First Looking into Chapman's Homer by John Keats. That's the label.
The World is Too Much With Us by William Wordsworth. The world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. The sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, and are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not. Great God, I'd rather be a pagan suckled and a creed outworn. So might I, standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn, have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn. Travel by Edna St. Vincent Millay. The railroad track is miles away, and the day is loud with voices speaking. Yet there isn't a train goes by all day, but I hear its whistle shrieking. All night there isn't a train goes by, though the night is still for sleep and dreaming, but I see its cinders red on the sky and hear its engine steaming. My heart is warm with the friends I make, and better friends I'll not be knowing, yet there isn't a train I wouldn't take, no matter where it's going. On first looking into Chapman's Homer by John Keats. Much have I travelled in the realms of gold, and many goodly states and kingdoms seen. Round many western islands have I been, which bards in fealty to Apollo hold. Oft of one wide expanse had I been told, the deep-browed Homer ruled as his demesne. Yet did I never breathe its pure serene, till I heard Chapman speak out loud and bold. Then felt I like some watcher of the skies, when a new planet swims into his ken, or like stout Cortes, when with eagle eyes he stared at the Pacific, and all his men looked at each other with a wild surmise, silent upon a peak in Darien.
Right, this one's got 3 poems on it, and it's The Passionate Shepherd to His Love by Christopher Marlowe, Go Lovely Rose by Edmund Waller, and To the Virgins to Make Much of Time by Robert Herrick.
The Passionate Shepherd to His Love by Christopher Marlowe. Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove that valleys, groves, hills and fields, woods or steepy mountain yields. And we will sit upon the rocks, seeing the shepherds feed their flocks by shallow rivers, to whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals. And I will make thee beds of roses, and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers and a kirtle, embroidered all with leaves of myrtle, a gown made of the finest wool, which from our pretty lambs we pull, fair-lined slippers for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold, a belt of straw and ivy buds, with coral clasps and amber studs, and if these pleasures may thee move, come live with me and be my love. The shepherd swains shall dance and sing for thy delight each May morning. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love. Go, Lovely Rose by Edmund Waller. Go, lovely Rose, tell her that wastes her time and me, that now she knows when I resemble her to thee, how sweet and fair she seems to be. Tell her that's young, and shuns to have her graces spied, that hadst thou sprung in deserts where no men abide, thou must have uncommended, died. Small is the worth of beauty from the light retired, bid her come forth, suffer herself to be desired, and not blush so to be admired. Then die, that she the common fate of all things rare may read in thee. How small a part of time they share, that are so wondrous, sweet and fair. To the Virgins to Make Much of Time by Robert Herrick. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may, old time is still a-flying, and this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying. The glorious lamp of heaven, the sun, the higher he's a-getting, the sooner will his race be run, and nearer he's to setting. That age is best, which is the first, when youth and blood are warmer, but being spent, the worse and worst times still succeed the former. Then be not coy, but use your time, and while ye may, go marry. For having lost but once your prime, you may forever tarry.
Right, record 4 of this 6 times a 78 RPM Shellac Records set, read by Basil Rathbone and produced in the 1940s. And it's Ode to the West Wind by Percy Bysshe Shelley. That's it, I think, for this side. That's all there is, on this side. So they didn't put a lot on these records. No doubt it's to make it easy for teachers to find the tracks, no doubt, when playing them for class.
Ode to the West Wind by Percy Bysshe Shelley. O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn's being, thou from whose unseen presence the leaves dead are driven like ghosts from an enchanter fleeing, yellow and black and pale and hectic red, pestilence-stricken multitudes. O thou who chariotest to their dark wintry bed the winged seas, where they lie cold and low, each like a corpse within its grave, until thine azure sister of the spring shall blow her clarion o'er the dreaming earth, and fill driving sweet buds like flocks to feed in air, with living hues and odors, plain and hill. Wild spirit which art moving everywhere, destroyer and preserver, hear, oh hear. Thou on whose stream, mid the steep sky's commotion, loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shed, shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and ocean, angels of rain and lightning. There are spread on the blue surface of thine airy surge, like the bright hair uplifted from the head of some fierce Maenad. Even from the dim verge of the horizon to the zenith's height, the locks of the approaching storm. Thou dirge of the dying year, to which this closing night will be the dome of a vast sepulchre, vaulted with all thy congregated might of vapors, from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire and hail will burst. O hear! Thou who didst waken from his summer dreams the blue Mediterranean, where he lay lulled by the coil of his crystalline streams, beside a pumice isle in Bai's bay, and saw in sleep old palaces and towers, quivering within the waves' intenser day, all overgrown with azure moss and flowers, so sweet, the sense faints picturing them. Thou for whose path the Atlantic's level powers cleave themselves into chasms, while far below the sea blooms and the oozy woods, which wear the sapless foliage of the ocean, know thy voice and suddenly grow grey with fear, and tremble and despoil themselves. O hear! If I were a dead leaf thou mightest bear, if I were a swift cloud to fly with thee, a wave to pant beneath thy power and share the impulse of thy strength, only less free than thou, O uncontrollable. If even I were as in my boyhood, and could be the comrade of thy wanderings over heaven, as then, when to outstrip thy skiey speed scarce seemed a vision, I would ne'er have striven as thus with thee in prayer in my sore need. Oh, lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life. I bleed. A heavy weight of hours has claimed and bowed one too like thee, tameless and swift and proud. Make me thy lyre, even as the forest is. What if my leaves are falling like its own? The tumult of thy mighty harmonies will take from both a deep autumnal tone, sweet, though in sadness. Be thou, spirit fierce, my spirit. Be thou me, impetuous one. Drive my dead thoughts over the universe like withered leaves to quicken a new birth, and by the incantation of this verse, scatter, as from an unextinguished heart, ashes and sparks, my words among mankind. Be through my lips to unawakened earth the trumpet of a prophecy. O wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind?
Right, it's the reverse side of record 4 of the 6-record set, and the first one is a Tennyson poem, and it is as part of it comes from In Memoriam, his very long poem, a tribute to his friend who passed away before his time, his great friend Hallam. And next one is To a Waterfowl by William Cullen Bryant.
From In Memoriam by Alfred Tennyson. Oh, yet we trust that somehow good will be the final goal of ill, to pangs of nature, sins of will, defects of doubt and taints of blood, that nothing walks with aimless feet, that not one life shall be destroyed or cast as rubbish to the void, when God hath made the pile complete, that not a worm is cloven in vain, that not a moth with vain desire is shriveled in a fruitless fire, or but subserves another's gain. Behold, we know not anything. I can but trust that good shall fall at last, far off, at last, to all, and every winter change to spring. So runs my dream. But what am I? An infant crying in the night, an infant crying for the light, and with no language but a cry. To a waterfowl. By William Cullen Bryant. Whither midst falling dew, while glow the heavens with the last steps of day, far through their rosy depths, dost thou pursue thy solitary way? Vainly the fowler's eye might mark thy distant flight to do thee wrong, as darkly seen against the crimson sky thy figure floats along. Seek'st thou the plashy brink of weedy lake, or marge of river wide, or where the rocking billows rise and sink on the chafed ocean side? There is a power whose care teaches thy way along that pathless coast, the desert and illimitable air, lone wandering but not lost. All day thy wings have fanned at that far height the cold, thin atmosphere, yet stoop not weary to the welcome land, though the dark night is near. And soon that toil shall end, soon shalt thou find a summer home, and rest and scream among thy fellows, reed shall bend soon o'er thy sheltered nest. Thou art gone, the abyss of heaven hath swallowed up thy form, yet on my heart deeply hath sunk the lesson thou hast given, and shall not soon depart. He who from zone to zone guides through the boundless sky thy certain flight, in the long way that I must tread alone, will lead my steps aright.
Record 5 of this 6-record set, read by Basil Rathbone, and the first one is by Rupert Brooke. It's Sonnet by Rupert Brooke. Second one is Auspices by Robert Browning.
Sonnet by Rupert Brooke. Oh, death will find me long before I tire of watching you, and swing me suddenly into the shade and loneliness and mire of the last land. There waiting patiently, one day I think I'll feel a cool wind blowing, see a slow light across the Stygian tide, and hear the dead about me stir unknowing, and tremble. And I shall know that you have died, and watch you, a broad-browed and smiling dream, pass, light as ever through the lightless host, quietly ponder, start, and sway and gleam, most individual and bewildering ghost, and turn and toss your brown delightful head amusedly among the ancient dead. Auspices by Rupert Browning. Fear death, to feel the fog in my throat, the mist in my face, when the snows begin and the blasts denote I am nearing the place, the power of the night, the press of the storm, the post of the foe, where he stands, the arch-fear in a visible form. Yet the strong man must go, for the journey is done and the summit attained and the barriers fall. There were battles to fight ere the guerdon be gained, the reward of it all. I was ever a fighter, so one fight more, the best and the last. I would hate that death bandaged my eyes and forbore and bade me creep past. No, let me taste the whole of it. Fare like my peers, the heroes of old, bear the brunt in a minute, pay glad life's arrears of pain, darkness, and cold. For sudden the worst turns the best to the brave. The black minutes at end, and the elements rage, the fiend voices that rave, shall dwindle, shall blend, shall change, shall become first a peace out of pain, then a light, then thy breast. O thou soul of my soul, I shall clasp thee again, and with God be the rest.
Right, so the reverse side of record 5 of this 6-record set, read by Basil Rathbone, and it's got 3 poems on this side. The On the Late Massacre of Piedmont by John Milton. I think that's Piedmont, I can't quite see it, it's quite small text. Stupidity Street by Ralph Hodgson, and In Memoriam FAS Robert Louis Stevenson.
On the Late Massacre in Piedmont by John Milton. Avenge, O Lord, thy slaughtered saints, whose bones lie scattered on the Alpine mountains cold, even them who kept thy truth so pure of old, when all our fathers worshipped stocks and stones, forget not. In thy book, record their groans who were thy sheep, and in their ancient folds slain by the bloody Piedmontese that rolled mother with infant down the rocks, their moans the vales redoubled to the hills, and they to heaven. Their martyred blood and ashes, so are all the Italian fields where still doth sway the triple tyrant, that from these may grow 100-fold, who having learned thy way, early may fly the Babylonian woe. Stupidity Street by Ralph Hodgson. I saw with open eyes singing birds sweet, sold in the shops for the people to eat, sold in the shops of Stupidity Street. I saw in vision the worm in the wheat, and in the shops nothing for people to eat, nothing for sale in Stupidity Street. In Memoriam by Robert Louis Stevenson. Yet, O stricken heart, remember, O remember, how of human days he lived the better part. April came to bloom, and never dim December breathed its killing chills upon the head or heart. Doomed to know not winter, only spring, a beam trod the flowery April blithely for a while, took his fill of music, joy of thought and scene, came and stayed and went, nor ever ceased to smile, came and stayed and went. And now, when all is finished, you alone have crossed the melancholy stream. Yours the pang, but his, oh his, the undiminished, undecaying gladness, undeparted dream. All that life contains of torture, toil, and treason, shame, dishonor, death, to him were but a name. Here, a boy, he dwelt through all the singing season, and ere the day of sorrow, departed as he came.
Right, the sixth and final record in this 78 RPM Shellac Records set, read by Basil Rathbone, and it's 3 poems on this side. The Old Woman of the Roads, attributed to Patrick Cullum, who I think probably based it upon The Old Woman of Beer. There's several variations on this poem. It's an old Irish poem from folklore. My Own Native Land by Sir Walter Scott, and America by Sidney Lanier.
The Old Woman of the Roads by Padraig Colum. Oh, to have a little house, to own the hearth and stool and all, the heaped up sods upon the fire, the pile of turf against the wall, to have a clock with weights and chains and pendulums swinging up and down, a dresser filled with shining delf speckled with white and blue and brown. I could be busy all the day cleaning and sweeping hearth and floor, and fixing on the shelf again my white and blue and speckled straw. I could be quiet there at night beside the fire, and by myself, sure of a bed, and loath to leave the ticking clock and shining delf. Ah, but I'm weary of mist and dark, and roads where there's never a house or bush, and tired I am of bog and road, and the crying wind and the lonesome hush, and I'm praying to God on high, and I'm praying him night and day, for a little house, a house of my own, out of the winds and the rain's way. My Own, My Native Land, by Sir Walter Scott. Breathes there the man with soul so dead, who never to himself hath said, this is my own, my native land, whose heart hath ne'er within him burned, as home his footsteps he hath turned, from wandering on a foreign strand? If such there breathe, go mark him well. For him no minstrel rapture swell, high though his titles, proud his name, boundless his wealth as wish can claim. Despite those titles, power and pelf, the wretch consented all in self, living shall forfeit fair renown, and doubly dying shall go down to the vile dust from whence he sprung, unwept, unhonoured, and unsung. America, by Sidney Lanier. Long as thine art shall love true love, long as thy science truth shall know, long as thine eagle harms no dove, long as thy law by law shall grow, Long as thy God is God above, thy brother every man below, so long, dear land of all my love, thy name shall shine, thy fame shall glow.
Right, the final side of this 6-record set, read by Basil Rathbone. It was issued in the 1940s for schools. It's a strange sort of collection really of poems. I'm not sure even in the 1940s that a lot of kids would have been very infused by some of these poems, but there are one or two that are really good, and on this side it has one of my all-time favourites, Invictus. Let's see of the 3 poems what we've got here now. It's The Waste Place by James Stephens, Say Not the Struggle Naught, Availeth, Arthur U. Clough, and as I say, that poem, humdinger of poems, final poem, Invictus by William Ernest Henley.
The Waste Places by James Stephens. As a naked man I go through the desert sore afraid, holding up my head, although I'm as frightened as a maid. The crouching lion there I saw, from barren rocks lift up his eye. He parts the cactus with his paw, he stares at me as I go by. He would follow on my trace if he knew I was afraid. If he knew my hardy face hides the terrors of a maid. In the night he rises and he stretches forth, he snuffs the air, he roars and leaps along the sand, he creeps and watches everywhere. His burning eyes, his eyes of bale, through the darkness I can see. He lashes fiercely with his tail. He would love to spring at me. I am the lion in his lair. I am the fear that frightens me. I am the desert of despair and the nights of agony. Night or day, whate'er befall, I must walk that desert land until I can dare to call the lion out to lick my hand. Say Not the Struggle Naught Availeth by Arthur Hugh Clough. Say not the struggle naught availeth, the labour and the wounds are vain, the enemy faints not nor faileth, and as things have been they remain. If hopes were dupes, fears may be liars. It may be, in yon smoke concealed, your comrades chase e'en now the flyers, and but for you possess the field. For while the tired waves vainly breaking seem here no painful inch to gain, far back, through creeks and inlets making, comes silent, flooding in the main. And not by eastern windows only, when daylight comes in the light. In front, the sun climbs slow, how slowly, but westward, look, the land is bright. Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance I have not winced nor cried aloud under the bludgeonings of chance. My head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
That was kind of interesting, that last one, wasn't it? Invictus. The thing is, with some of these poems, you can tell he was sort of rushing to get them onto the record, and he speeded through them, and you lose some of the feeling of poems that way. But it was Basil Rathbone, after, he had a lovely voice for reading poetry. Invictus is really interesting, written by William Ernest Henley. He was a publisher. He was an English publisher. He was a great friend of Robert Louis Stevenson, up until a certain point in their lives where they fell out. Stevenson described Henley as pirately. He based Long John Silver on how Ernest Henley looked, because Ernest Henley as a boy had spent several years in hospital, several months in hospital, having lower legs amputated through TB of the bones, and Joseph Lister and his own stoicism, his own courage, kept him going through all this. You can imagine in Victorian times how much of a struggle it would have been without well, Joseph listed a pioneer of anaesthesia. He was involved, so we helped him through it. But this is where he got his courage from. And he was a rumbustious, sort of outspoken, irascible sort of guy, and he fell out eventually with Robert Louis Stevenson over, I think there was some accusation of plagiarism, and something that Ernest Henley said about Robert Louis Stevenson's wife. He caused some upset, and after that they were never friends again, really, for the rest of their lives. But before that, as I say, Stevenson had described Ernest Henley as pirately, and he had based Long John Silver on him, because of his peg leg, etc., and Ernest Henley's general demeanour of being a sort of suave, outspoken, rough sort of character who spoke his mind, didn't take prisoners, said what he thought, and I suppose that was pirately. Thanks for watching.